So welcome to the fourth event in the series On the Way to Our Talent in North America. And today our webinar is titled They Excel in Medicine and Health Sciences. We were fortunate to have a lot of subscription, and then after this live we will share this webinar also on different social media platforms. So please, for all the audience, as I said before, if you want to talk in English and French and Arabic, feel free, and please mention from where you are connected, ask your question, feedbacks, or suggestion. You are welcome. So just before starting, I'm Dr. Lubna Karwi, Artificial Intelligence Executive Director, podcast host for AI Exponential Thinker, and Forbes contributor. I'm pleased to co-host this webinar with Dr. Nada Radawi, scientist in, I will try to say it correctly, but correct me if I'm wrong, in nucleic acid biology in Germany, right?
Right, in Munich.
And I think we will have shortly my friend Ali Dries, the journalist and editor-in-chief of the e-magazine Web Manager Center. And for sure, after this webinar, we will have an article about this events as well. So without long introductions, I'm honored to have such brilliant scientists in this panel, truly exponential expert. I love the word exponential. This is the time to use it, right? Truly exponential expert in the health and medical space. Three remarkable Tunisian guests working in the United States. I will start by Hela, okay? Hela Zayez is senior scientist. She's leading the hearing research and diagnostics teams at Morn, University of Iowa. Welcome, Hela.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for actually promoting scientists. That's great, and it gives a really great role models for the Tunisian youth.
Great. Great having you with us. We have also Nizar Smewi, is a senior director in the Human Genetic Group in the Genomic Research Center at AbbVie Pharmaceuticals. He's clinical geneticist with a focus on rare disease, but we will complete for sure the biography. It's so long for everyone, which is amazing. Welcome, Nizar.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation again. So happy to see everyone here, and even to have this great community joining in this nice scientific event. Thank you.
Welcome. And we have Ali Girmezi, Professor of Radiology and Medicine, Director of the Quantitative Imaging Center, and Assistant Dean of Diversity and Inclusion at Boston University School of Medicine. And he's the Chair of Radiology at the VA Boston Healthcare System. Welcome, Ali.
Marhaba. Merci. Thank you very much for the invitation, and I hope that the interaction will be one of the best.
Thank you, everyone. So let's kick off this discussion, and let me jump by the first topic. The first topic. We know that you have an amazing experience, everyone, but let's try to make like a kind of snapshot of your professional journey by highlighting at least 2 or 3 exceptional moments that you want to share with our audience today. So it's up to you guys. Let's start, if you want, by Hela, and then we will switch in the order if you want.
Yeah, sure. So تولدت وتربيت في قرقنة. That's very important to me. You know, it takes a village to raise a child. In my case, it took an island, and I did my primary studies في قرقنة. ليسي مشيت بعد ليسي فرحات حشي، من بعد فاكولتي دي سيونس دو صفاقس، ومن بعد المدرسة لينيس إيكول ناسيونال دانجينيور دو صفاقس، عملت الماستر وبديت نعمل في التيز غادي. J'ai eu l'opportunité, enfin, it was a career changing. At the end of my first year in doing my PhD, I got the opportunity to actually go to the US as a collaboration with another lab to study a different disease. I was doing the human genetics. And that literally completely changed my career. I came here to the University of Iowa, where I did my, it was at the beginning just for 1 year fellowship, extended to 2 years. And then they just asked me to stay. And then I just finished my my PhD here. After that, I did a postdoc, and then I also got the opportunity to return back to Tunisia. I was recruited as an assistant professor at Institut Pasteur de Tunis. When there, I stayed maybe for 2 years, and I did some work there on orphan diseases. But then I just decided to come back to the US to do really more studies and more research in genetics. And that's where I am right now.
And Hela, if you have to share 1 or 2 exceptional moments in all like this amazing journey, what you will share with us?
It is just see the opportunity when it presents to you. Encore une fois, j'ai eu la chance enfin d'être choisie pour venir ici, mais c'était pas une décision facile. I had to kind of redo my whole study, kind of wasted a year doing my PhD. But that was actually the moment that changed my my career there.
Good, good. Let's move to Nizar.
So basically my career بديت أنا في عملت فاكولتي ميديسين دو تونس. وبعد j'ai choisi la spécialité génétique, bon parce que all my friends, you know, wanted to do surgery and radiology and so on. But as it happened, I told them, you know, you guys are going to be out of business because genetics is really where things are going. We're going to be able to cure all diseases, you know, 20 years from now. We're not there yet, but hopefully we will get there somehow. And then I did spent 3 years at Genethon in France doing research. And I think that was a good opportunity at that time for me to find a gene that causes disease. There was a good boost. You know, we worked very hard. I mean, that's the only thing that I was really, I would say to everyone here who really wants to do, to move on with their career, you have to sometimes work very hard. And of course, you know, there will be other opportunities. So after I spent 3 years in Paris at Genethon, I decided to go back to Tunis, where I was an assistant professor at the Charnikol Hospital, l'Hôpital Charnikol, Faculty of Medicine. And then before that, and believe me, you know, this is true. So we had to have our military training. You know, as a doctor, you have to do 1 year. So I did part of it, like in Figazarna. And part of it, I was sent to do Nafsa, you know, to do as a geneticist, basically, في Nafsa Besha. As it happened, I met a family with some form of genetic form of congenital cataract. And that was really, for me, an opportunity trying to see, looked for in the US, you know, who's really working on congenital cataract, trying to find identify the gene that caused the disease. And I found someone at NIH at the National Eye Institute, basically reach out to him. And then out of the blue, he said, just, you know, come over. And basically I started doing research. I was able to find the gene that caused the congenital cataract in that family. But even more important, we were able even to treat those patients, you know, bring them in at the Charnikol Hospital in collaboration with our ophthalmology. So they had to have a surgery on their early on, otherwise they will go blind. So many of these patients were able to get them to the hospital and move them on. And then from that, you know, I was a medical director. I was a director at the diagnostic lab. They wanted to have, to build a diagnostic lab at the NEI. I was heading that. And But in the meantime, I got my board certification in molecular genetics, clinical molecular genetics. And I started, as I had an interest in genetic diseases, I got hired by a commercial company that does the genetic testing for rare disease. And then after some time, I said, you know, I need to do not only diagnosing disease, I need to do further in terms of therapy. And that's why, just out of the blue, basically someone from a pharma company at Takeda Pharmaceutical reached out to me. You know, we have this great opportunity in Chicago. Do you want to come over? And then from that, I moved to AbbVie, which is another pharma company.
Actually, later we will talk about the challenge, because like all the journeys are not up and down, right, guys? So we will talk about that.
Of course.
Because, you know, when we want to inspire, we have to be like more sharing those moments, you know, the exceptional moments, but also the tough moments as well. So we will talk about that. We have kind of questions, but we will take them once we talk much more, let's say. Now, Ali.
If I want to just say what I learned from Hala and Nizar, it looks like resilience and hard work, and I do think that's maybe the best what we can say to our colleagues or friends here. I will have to add one thing, and I'm very sorry if some of the colleagues and the people that are present here that they don't want to hear this, but because when I went to Tunisia, things changed actually completely. Is that I am actually a believer, a hard believer of one thing that was actually that I saw before I was born. My father told me that he put it in his shop, and it's two frames. One of them it says, "Al-mautu babun wa kullu an-nasi dakhiluhu." The death is a gate by which everybody will pass, which is true. I mean, if someone would say no, unfortunately, he doesn't know what is actually life is about. But the second one, which is to me the most important, because I know death is real for everybody. But the second one is the most important, which is وَعَسَىٰ أَن تَكْرَهُ شَيْئًا وَهُوَ خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ. And this is I'm a 100%, 1000% believer of this. And why I'm saying this? Because in my life, in my journey, I had so many moments that I thought that things are really, really against me. The whole thing, the time, the people, the whatever. But because of this, I always smiled. I can tell you guys about stories and stories, by the way. But I smiled and I said, it's really meant to be for me this way, because I do think it's the best thing for me. And it turned always the best things for me. So yes, I left Tunisia. I started gynecology for 1 year. My mom, for an accident, I will say by chance, by lack, by mislack, I don't know how to call it. My mom thought that I should not be a gynecologist. All right. So I said, okay, I'm gonna go to France and I'm gonna do radiology. She said, okay, go to hell, you and radiology, both together. So I left after 1 year and I started radiology. And then after 12 years, I was up to a professorship, but I have a guy who is my chair who wanted to do everything against me, so I would not be chair. I said, okay, I'm gonna go to the US. I had so many offers, and I like Hela. I went for 2 years. I signed for 2 years at UCSF as a director of research at University of California, San Francisco, behind you, by the way. So after that, I had to go through all my USMLE, etc. It's even tougher, Hela, than what you do, unfortunately, as an engineer or PhDs. I went through that, all the hustle, and I started completely a new career here in the US, and here we are. And even in the US, sometimes happen to me, a few things very good, few things bad, but at the very end, this is what happened. So I'm thinking, if you have a resilience, as Hela said, if you had a hard work, as Nizar said, and if you believe that anything that will happen to you is just going to be better, then you win it off. That's what I want to say.
Amazing, amazing. You know why I'm saying amazing? There's a sense because it's quite, actually, that's why I said before, it's up and down in life, right? And we need those hands that support us, help us, at least by kind words, right? Which is, even kind words can help too much sometimes. And I am sure that we will share some of these moments as well later, because it's very important to show that we are here to thrive, right, in every single day. And actually, I'm fighting every single day. Me too. People will not see it, but I'm trying to share it when I'm mentoring people, right, and young talents, because it's not every time worthy pink was. There's those moments that make us more strong, right? And probably understand the meaning of this life, which is very important, as you said at the beginning, Ali. I will switch to the second topic. I don't know, Nada, you want to take it? Tell me if you hear me.
Yes, I can take it.
Great.
So I want to say hello to everybody. I'm very happy to be here with you. Madame Hela, Monsieur Nizar, Monsieur Ali. Alors, شنو اللي نحب نعرف من عندكم. Yes, I switch to Tunisian. So, ce sont quoi les choses qui vous passionnent le plus dans les recherches? Moi, je suis chercheuse. Ce sont quoi les choses qui vous passionnent et comment la technologie joue un rôle dans l'amélioration des systèmes de santé? Si on commence avec Madame Hela.
Oui, bien sûr. The things that really excite me about the research I'm doing are actually three things. The first thing is I am contributing to advanced science. I am contributing to knowledge. I am discovering new things. It's an adventure. It is, it's a wonderful feeling. And I know a lot of people, here in this audience share this, when you discover something and you work so hard. And then at the end, you find that one thing, and it actually, it's like putting pieces of the puzzles together. It makes sense. It fits. It explains why this gene works this way, why this mutation works this way. So to me, that's one of my biggest joys in life. The second point that really also excites me about the research I'm doing is the way how I apply it to help and to make people's life better. So, and how to translate the knowledge and the research findings I had to apply them to healthcare and to patients suffering. So I work on hearing loss and its associated disorders, and being able to directly translate whatever findings we found with research into clinical diagnostics, so improving clinical diagnostics or improving targeted therapies for people suffering with different kinds of diseases. That is my biggest, also second joy in life, being able to actually make a difference, not only in science, but also in people's life. And the third one, which is also as important, is mentoring the students and seeing them succeed. And being part of their growth as people, but also as scientists. And then seeing them, going their own ways, finding their own ways and succeeding. And to me, I am very proud of that. So yeah, these are kind of the three major why it excites me to do the research I am doing. The second question, I think, is how technology is improving, or would you like for everyone to talk about this and then we?
Yeah. So I can understand you very well. So the research, I know researchers, they wake up in the morning and they go to the lab and do something which nobody in the world is doing. And after hard work. They are the first one discovering something new, so it's amazing. And also concerning the students, they will be your future colleagues. So we invest a lot of time and energy in the students. So maybe we can move to Mr. Nizar. So tell me about your passion to research.
So first of all, I would, if you want to really, you have to be happy on what you are doing. I mean, that's key. You have to come to work and really be excited to work. And that's really what I do. You know, every day I come to work, I work on different type of diseases, you know, autoimmune disease, neuro, or whatever it is. When I started doing research initially, we were doing sequencing or looking at the gel just by pouring the gel, or using the radioactive material basically to tag some probe or some other. But now the technology has evolved so much. I'm talking here about like 20, 30 years ago. So the technology has evolved so much. We didn't have AR or machine learning or any other, you know, fancy word that right now we use. So this is exciting. You know, I would say, for example, we work using what you call real world data. You know, we have access to millions of data from healthcare, from patients. Not really, you know, identify patients, but we try to use that data and those, you know, AI or machine learning, you know, to really try to come up with new type of diseases, new type of phenotypes, and so on. So what's exciting is every day I see something new. Basically, that's really where things are. However, you know, I want to be really clear too. When you do research, you get setback. You know, nothing is going to be working like smoothly that you expect it's going to be. So, you know, of course, you have to, by the end, you know, just start from the beginning or take a step back and think, you know, what really did work or didn't work out, and decide, you know, this is something that's not working, I need to change it. One last thing, you know, if you really, for all these young, you know, students, I would say you have to publish to really be able to show, you know, people know you, and really to show that you are able to do your work. To be able to sell yourself in the beginning, you really need to show that you have done part of it, but then, you know, if you work hard, hopefully and eventually, you'll have other opportunities. So I know I did research in Tunis. You know, it's not at that time, it's not easy. You have to wait like 3-4 months to get any reagents to do any experiments, and they come really in a bad, you know, not well conserved. So you have to start again. But again, you have to push back and be able to do. And I'm sure there are many researchers right now, for Tunis, you know, trying to do their best to move things ahead. You just need to start even small to be able to do big things.
That's very nice. Thank you very much. So you were talking about happiness in the lab. Yeah, I agree with happiness, but researcher and the research is like you work, and about 95% of the work is not working. So you have negative results. And
of course,
we are living with 5% positive results. So happiness and dealing with frustration, I would say.
Of course. Nothing will work from, you know, I'm not sure if, you know, so I work in a pharma company.
Otherwise,
you know.
Sorry to interrupt you, Nizar, but otherwise it's not research. It's just application of
Exactly.
something, right?
Exactly. It's boring.
Like when
you know,
you are
boring.
working with AI and machine learning, even I was talking about that. This is my work on a daily basis, right? People expect that you will have the outcome for sure. every single day you have to say to them it's experimentation, guys, okay? So means you have to keep in mind that you have probably 50% success and 50% failure, which is a kind of learning experience as well, right? So you have to keep it in mind, otherwise we will not progress with you. So sorry, Nizar, I interrupt you because it's
yeah, I was going to say in the pharma,
frustration.
yeah, exactly. So just to give you a quick an idea about really in pharma, for 100 molecule, only one molecule end up really reach the patient. So we test thousands even of molecule, only a small number. To tell you, it takes a lot of time to really do any research. I'm sure if even a lot more complicated for basic research, you know. Anyway,
Yeah.
and that's
Sure,
something.
yes. So I used to say when things are going very good, so there's something what's not something in the air.
No, it's something whether strange or someone else find it before, right? And you are not aware. Maybe it's gonna happen. So let's move to Ali. It's very important, and I have a question for everyone. You are talking about disease, guys. Is it some specific disease? Is it or is it disease in general? Just to break down to the people, I mean to the audience. I think just to know. So if you can take it also this point later, if you want.
Yeah. Do you want me to answer, or I can go for my perspective?
Go ahead.
Right. I do think what you hear again, what you heard from Hera and Nizar is what you're going to hear from me, maybe in another way. I'm going to just put it in another way, I would say, introduction will be exactly the same. But the fact is, what Nizar and Hera are doing probably is much more hardcore. I'll call it more basic to me because I'm more actually advanced in what I do from the clinical perspective, of course. All right. So what the radiologists will look at, and what I'm doing myself, I've been collecting data on a disease called osteoarthritis that everybody will do and will have. And the reality, I was not an osteoarthritis person. When I arrived to CSF, I found myself in this section called osteoarthritis and osteoporosis research group. And I thought that osteoporosis is almost everything was written, that if I'm going to be there, it's going to be really a very limited, probably for me to advance. So I choose the part which is much more difficult when nobody is interested to. So first thing, one, when you are going actually to do something in research, try to find out something that is not really crowded. If there are actually radiologists, 100 radiologists doing the same thing, you're not going to find really yourself in a good area first. That's one. And I can tell you, in MSK, musculoskeletal radiology that I'm doing, now osteoarthritis is really there. Osteoporosis is done. Rheumatoid arthritis is done. But gout, nobody knows what's happening there. So if someone is radiology here, hearing me, you can jump on this and you can just do a big career. The second thing, which is extremely important, I think what Hala and Nizar alluded to, is really reputation. Reputation is extremely important. So what I have done with mentorship, again, I'm very proud with my mentees. I do think 3 of them, they surpassed me. That's for sure. And I have actually at least 3 now that are professor, and one is going to be professor very soon, hopefully. By the way, he's Tunisian and he's in Harvard at MGH, Mass General Hospital, Mohammed Jarrah. So what I'm saying by this is that you allow other to thrive, to shine, etc. And that's a fantastic moment. But how you are going to do it, and this is where it is key. So Japanese invited me to put exactly the same thing that I put in Boston. I put it in Japan, in Tokyo in 2007. And that's why I became a visiting professor for the last now 12 years, 13 years in Japan. I did my PhD in Japan because of that. And I'm going to tell you what I told them as one word. All right. I said, if you take one hand and you try actually to upload, unless you do this, there is nothing that nobody will hear anything. But if you take another hand and you do this, you can upload. What does it mean this? I cannot do it by myself. I can't. I need actually a group. I need a team. I need a very good team where what I'm saying every time I go anywhere worldwide, and believe it or not, I was in Vienna 3 days ago. I told them, I am not a radiologist. I am not a researcher, and I'm an orchestra director. I do this. You do that. You do that. That's an email is becoming so fantastic because it gives you the opportunity to send those emails, to do things with guys. You can, of course, now Zoom and Teams is also extremely important. So I do think that what you need to get this as a team, and you need to be a part of the team. By yourself, you're not going to do anything. The third point, which is extremely important if you do research, again, Hala and Nizar alluded to, but I do think it's important to put it really blunt, is that if you do something at Boston University, it's not going to be shiny. You're not getting actually to New England Journal of Medicine, you're not going to Lancet, you're not going to BMJ, you're going to be sitting on an impact factor of 0.1 or 1, and that's about it, or predatory journals. That's why you're going to publish, because publication is extremely important. So how you're going to do it is you go for multi-center studies. You need to go to Hala. Now I know Hala, she's in Iowa. All right, I'm going to just tell her, if we are in the same interest, why we don't do it. In fact, the biggest study I started with in 2003, called it the MOST study, multi-center osteoarthritis study. All right, there are 2 sites besides Boston University, BU. There is an Iowa, University of Iowa, and University of Alabama. Now we have also the osteoarthritis initiative, 5,000 persons, 2 knees, 10,000, 10 years of follow-up, 100,000 MRI that we read in my group from that study. The whole thing is us. All right. So yes, you have a leader, and you have you have the leadership. I leave actually others to talk about me for when it comes to leadership, but I do think you need also the team, and you need also the multi-center studies. And then I do think that's where we became actually really very known worldwide. We get actually to be invited everywhere. Nizar said that you need to be having this reputation, and that's how you get it. You will be invited everywhere because people want to know how you've done it. That's extremely important. Now, personally, because I didn't talk about this before, but that get actually to me being the first, and I hate to say the first, because in Tunisia we love to say we are the first of this kind of thing. But yes, the journal that is for radiology is called Radiology, impact factor of 29.1. I was the first African, Arab, Muslim, Tunisian, call it whatever, even French, because I have the French passport, to be a deputy editor of a musculoskeletal in that journal for 7 years. And it's not actually a simple task. To the fact, I can tell you, we were paid for the work we've done. I was paid $70,000 per year, which is maybe not big, but at the same time, $70,000 to do the editorial, work, because it was tremendous. And we published the best paper of radiology worldwide. So this is where it becomes really extremely important. When you construct, you build things, but you cannot do them. Again, let's summarize very quickly. You cannot do it by yourself. You have a team. You have to mentor people, because that's your team, and that's your the future. And you need to do a multi-center studies, a multi-center experiment. And by the way, I do think, Lubna, you said 50% you're gonna get of success. I do think you are extremely, extremely positive. Yeah. I do think you have 5% of success. You have to be in a wedding and dancing la danse du ventre. يعني يلزمك تكون تشطح بالباهي زاد، بس 5% or 5% is already absolutely phenomenal. So I am very happy every day. I'm positive. Iman can tell you I'm always positive. And I know that I'm going actually for 5% of success. But again, negative, and I will finish with this. And Nizar said this before, I think. Negative results are absolutely as important as positive results. And they need to be published. If the study is done the right way, and you have a negative results, you need to publish them, because that will inform the whole world that they should not go that way. Just change better. So again, I do think we can talk forever, but I'm going to leave it for for others, and especially other questions. But there are a lot to get from what Hela said and Nizar said, and maybe we can just also talk how we're going to apply this in a country like Tunisia, because to be extremely honest, it's many things we cannot apply them in Tunisia because of what we have: the structure, the people, and the money, the three things. But I do think structure and people are much more important, and for that I can be very blunt with you and tell you about my experience later on. Lubna, you can take it from there.
Yeah, you are right. I was really optimistic, but it was just because in general we say 50-50%, but we know that it's much less than that, and much less than 10% even. It depends of the use case for sure. It depends of the sector. It depends of a lot of aspects. I know in medicine, I think probably the percentage that you mentioned probably it's even optimistic, right? But it depends of the case. For instance, we work with cases on NLP and so on. We have much more chance to succeed. It depends of the case. It depends of the the use case and a lot of aspects. But you're right. I was optimistic, but again, it's just a way to talk to the business guys, because generally, if you say 10%, no one will fund anything, guys. That's why you have to say 50%, 50%. We will see, but we will iterate. Let's be transparent, and we will iterate. And once we know that there is a lot of blockers and it will not work, we will stop. Okay, so this is the point, but it's just a way to say it, that there is a chance that it works and there's a chance that it will not work. And this is the reality of this work of at least AI and machine learning, deep learning, and reinforcement learning, and all the learning that we have in technology. Let's say we are trying to mimic the people and the human intelligence. We are trying, I say, because we are not there, even with generative AI that we saw. Yeah, I mean the last news this last month, and I wrote a lot of articles about that. But we're still far from that, right? Let's come back to technology, because you started, Nizar, talking a little bit about AI and machine learning, but maybe other technology as well. What are the different technologies that can help you in a daily basis in your work? And let's also jump on the topic of challenges as well. If there's any challenges that you want to share with the audience, Ali, start talking about those aspects from the beginning, but let's dive a little bit on that if you want.
So very briefly, in my day-to-day work, we try to do more and more what we call precision medicine, patient stratification, and we try to understand better the genetics, how they influence patient response to treatment, and so on. I think the main challenges so far that we have is there is an imbalance between the amount of data that we are generating and how much we can make out of that data. So, probably many of you, are aware that, we do on a regular basis whole genome sequencing. We do, which sequence the entire DNA, basically, which it took initially, I don't know, 20 years or so to finish sequencing one genome. Now, within 2-3 hours, you can sequence one and hundreds and thousands of genome and so on. But the amount of data and the amount of data that comes out of it, it's really right now, and the technology to understand what we call the association that comes from these different type of sequencing technology is so huge. And not only now we do whole genome sequencing with DNA, we even go and really look at the specific cell, and try to sequence that cell and so on. So it's really the challenge so far is really not to generate the data, but what can you do with the data and how much you can analyze the data, which is, I think this is maybe a great opportunity. I know many people, young people trying to really look at the future, what can we do and so on. Yes, you can do, there are a lot of wet lab that you can do, of course, and the technology is evolving and so on. But also, I do see that there are a lot of, Horizon is really big for all of this data and how we can manage that data and how we understand and how we question that data and how we visualize that data across, I saw a question across omics and so on. And the other major challenge that we have as a pharma or even is really, and maybe, this is where Tunisian can do more. All the data that we have right now is based from white, Caucasian, European origin. I wish that we will have an opportunity to do more from a diverse, population like Tunisia or any part of Africa, which is, it's starting, but again, it's been challenging really to have it set it up, in Tunisia or elsewhere, because I understand very likely, it's question of money, but also a question of organization and political will from some of the scientist leader in Tunis, fortunately. And sometimes I feel that, and I hope that the young people will do more, will work together more. Ali mentioned mentoring. So I don't mentor, but as a pharma, in a pharma company, you cannot work by yourself. You won't be able to produce anything unless you work across teams. So that's, I think, one thing is really, hopefully if the chiefs, are not willing to work together, hopefully the young people will be able to do it. And that's how you build, from a smaller team, a much bigger team. I would agree with Ali and Hala. Again, I miss mentoring. We do mentor here, but in the pharma industry, we learned that we have to work across team. Otherwise, you won't be able to do anything.
Just a quick question on when you are working on pharma, you are working with other center, like was mentioned by Ali, or inside just between like the same corporate sector?
So we work not only within the pharma, work with we have different group. We are in the discovery, we have the clinical development group and so on. It's not like someone only, everyone is reporting to one person. It's really a cross team. So it's like a cross-functional. So that's one. But also we, believe it or not, we work with other pharma on non-competitive. Ali mentioned some of the examples. So we work with our pharma. So it doesn't mean that, even though we are competing with each other, but when there is a need to really work together, this is how the US works. By the end, the business drive, more is about the personal, problem. So if we need to work with other pharma partners, we need to work with other countries, we will do it if needs to be, if the business drive this. And that's how we try to get things done.
Okay, good. Hela, what do you think about?
Yeah, I completely agree with Nizar. So in our field for human genetics and dealing with patients and their genetic disorders, one of the biggest challenges currently is being able to provide a genetic diagnosis. Sequencing is no longer an issue. Like we sequence, as Nizar said, we do whole genome sequencing now in a few hours, you get the data. Now, the issue here, or the challenge, is how to analyze that data. To give you an idea, for example, when we sequence someone's exomes, we are going to end up with thousands of genetic variations to sift through, trying to correlate which one of those thousands of variations are responsible for the disease. When we do genome, now we end up with millions of variants, around 4 million variants, just to correlate. So how do we interpret that data? How do we classify these genetic variants? And by classifying, meaning, are they benign, which means they have no correlation whatsoever to the disease, or are they pathogenic? Our challenge here is most of the variants end up being what we call VUS, a variant of uncertain significance. We don't know the significance of these variants. And now, now following up with what Nizar and Ali said, it is all about collaboration and working with other groups worldwide, because this is an issue. It's not just in the US, it's not just in Tunisia, it is everywhere. We do sequencing now, it's great, it's cheap, it's fast. How do we analyze that data? How do we gain, first of all, how do we analyze the data? So we created some panels, and I'm part of a lot of these panels that are worldwide. It's called CleanGen and CleanVar, and trying to build a framework for variant classification, genetic variant classification and interpretation, and then kind of providing them to the whole world. And then there are now, everyone is following those guidelines. And that's really helpful. And it's not just the US that is going to benefit from it, it's everywhere in the world. And that is, again, that's really important. Following up with what Nizar was saying, actually, you know, I work on hearing loss. The first gene that was ever identified that was responsible for hearing loss was in a Tunisian family. It was a Tunisian group with Professor Hamadi Ayedi, the Faculty de Medicine, PISFEPAS. It was a Tunisian family. That was the first gene ever identified that is linked to hearing loss. And it is the most prevalent gene. So globally, half of people with hearing loss in the world have mutation in this gene. And it started in Tunisia. And then we have like, seriously, we have fantastic groups in Tunisia, whether, you know, SFEPAS, Tunis, Benzart, Sousa, everywhere. There are like extraordinary scientists. And I really salute them that to be able to work in sometimes conditions that are not optimal, with not that much funding, but they are still doing the work, and we can do it. Like we have talents, we have Tunisian talents, whether abroad or in Tunisia, and we can do it. And we will, like, I work with some group in Tunisia trying, you know, to help with this, but I think we need to do more. So this is where I think we start talking about challenges. On a personal level, my biggest challenge is being so far from my family and being so far from Tunisia. You know, Tunis, you can't be there for everyone's birthdays. You can't be there for, you know, weddings. You can't be there for Ramadan, all of them, or L'Ayed. When someone is sick, you can't be there. So that is in a personal level, that is my biggest, and in all levels, actually, that is my biggest challenge.
I have a question on that. Since now we are working more and more remotely, does it mean that there is a possibility? It's actually an open question for everyone, because now we see a lot of company, like people are working from everywhere, right? With no need to go back to the office, let's say. Is it something that maybe you can think about later? I saw a lot of friends from San Francisco going to Hawaii, living there, and so on, Tahiti, Hawaii, and a lot of nice destination, let's say. So, but Tunisia, it's a good destination as well. So what do you think about?
Definitely. Oh, definitely. I go there, I take a month vacation. I mean, I spend all my vacation in Tunisia. I don't go anywhere else. I just want to see my family and eat kusksi, hout, maqarnit, everything. So I spend all my vacation time in Tunisia. But you are right. Last time I actually stayed 2 extra weeks because I was working remotely, and it's a fantastic. I can do it all the time or very often, but I have the chance to do that.
Right. Hila, you start talking about collaborating much more with Tunisia and so on. Probably I will make a pause and take one question at least from the audience, and then we will finish with the 4th topic, right, about Tunisia and what is your perceptions and how we can collaborate much more, let's say, or any idea as well of collaboration and mentoring. So the question is coming from, let me check, I will say the name later, but the question is, I have a question for all panelists about how they imagine their field of interest 10 or 15 years after.
20, sorry, how long? Oh, 10 or 15.
The question is coming from Hassan.
Hassan, thank you, Nada. I didn't see. Yeah,
I can start, or Ali or Nizar if you would like.
exactly, from Hassan.
So as Nizar alluded to it earlier, and also Ali, and that is, we think, we thought years ago that, 10 years ago, we thought, oh, in 10 years, we would have found, and we would have, done gene therapy for all genetic diseases. We are close, but we are not there yet. But the exciting thing is the advances, tremendous advances in technology are allowing us to actually study the genetics of all disorders really well and in depth, and can come up with correlation with the genotype or genetic causes and the phenotype. And this is also what we call medicine de précision or precision medicine. And that is to tailor healthcare decisions to the specific individual's background, genetic background, lifestyle, and environment. And this is, I think, 15 years from now, it's hard to say, but I'm very optimistic, and I would say we would have solved or made therapies, gene therapies that are available for patients to use. That's my hope anyway. I don't know what Nizar and Ali think.
You are mute, Ali, if you are talking. Yeah.
I said Mother Nature will find other things for Hera to discover. Yeah, definitely. I do think from the perspective of radiology, I do think everybody knows that right now it's all about artificial intelligence. I do think one day I was in Paris waiting for a guy nearby the rond-point des Champs-Élysées. There is a FNAC there, and he called me. He said, "I'm late for 1 hour." I said, "No problem." I went to the FNAC, and by chance I found this book by a guy named Luc Julien. The title of the book is "Artificial Intelligence Does Not Exist." L'intelligence artificielle n'existe pas. Voilà, je vous conseille de le lire. I advise everybody here to read that book. Why? Because this guy knows what he's talking about. So this is a French guy from the south. I met with him, by the way, and he.
I know him.
I know him personally now. Yeah, very, very intriguing actually, because I wanted really to understand. And he started this historically. Actually, the word artificial intelligence is artificial, where the German talked about this in a meeting between Nazis. They thought about what we call augmented intelligence. They wanted something that augment the intelligence of human being and not actually replace human being with an artificial intelligence. And that's why he's saying it does not exist. This guy is actually what you are all using. Siri? Mm-hmm. He's the inventor of Siri.
Yeah.
He's the one that invented Siri, Luc Julien, with another guy. And he was at Stanford University, ended up being in a big company. I think right now he's working with Samsung.
He's working with Renault.
With Renault and Samsung, both, yeah, because So the fact is, he explained to me that anything can be augmented, but it would never be artificial. So let me just now go ahead and tell you about what's happening in radiology, where there is a paper that was published last year, taking it into account a combination of real mammogram on women, created from scratch. All right, 10 types of mammogram. When you see them, they are real with cancer. So you can actually just say, I swear to God, I'm going there, I'm doing a biopsy, this is going to be a cancer. But the whole mammogram is completely fake. There is nothing real. And to be honest, I can share with you right now if you want, if you have the possibility to share, because I'm writing actually a paper for the centennial of radiology. All right, we're going to submit it in 2 days about what is the real intent of this, how we're going to apply it, what legality here. Because when you do artificial intelligence and you make actually a mistake as a doctor, who's going to be responsible for that? All right. So these are all questions, and how we're going to integrate this, and how the HIPAA will be applied, etc. All these questions are extremely important. And I will think if HADA will create actually sequencing that is not real, that is just not there, she can, of course, and she can call it even a new disease by the name of Isaiah's disease, but that disease does not exist until someone in the lab in China will fabricate actually that virus and get it out. Now, again, I suffer like everybody from the virus, from COVID virus. I don't care from where it is, because it's not about putting this in a fight between who and being kind of the superlative which we need actually to go and kill Chinese. No, this is not my problem. As a doctor, I want to treat these guys, but the reality, who knows how this actually happened? And again, artificial intelligence is really in that pathway at this point. I do think it's going to be very helpful. It's going to augment our intelligence. Yes, it's going to help us for some indication, because the thing is that a doctor will see the patient as a whole. Artificial intelligence cannot. Artificial intelligence can only see one diagnosis. So let's imagine that you have a brain MRI. All right, you call actually the artificial intelligence to look at hemorrhage. Yes, they're going to see that. But are they going to tell you what's happening in the gyras, in the pallidum, etc., what's happening in the substantia nigra, what's happening in the white matter, etc., all these kind of things? No, it's impossible. So I do think the system itself, and I'm not saying in 15 years it's not going to change, who knows, or in 100 years, maybe we can fabricate actually a whole human being with a machine. I'm not there, but at this point, I do think is, the doctor, the physician, you as a person, you are multi-directional, all right? And the AI at this point is unidirectional, all right? And we're still talking about really something that we can apply, while it's not really all the time applicable. And I can give you many examples. All right. So when it is unfortunately not applicable. But that's what I think, at least from my point of view, what I see every day. Now, for the Tunisian, because I do think many colleagues, many people are here to listen to us, and they wanted actually this. So some actually maybe a hint for their future. I do think Tunisia has a potential. Not at this time, because at this point, economically and politically, it's really in turmoil, and it's very problematic. Everybody is praying every day that it will be something good coming from the country, from our country, from Watan, as we say, because we love actually our country, and we are all Tunisian and we love Tunisia. But we have to be also realistic. The future doesn't look, at least the very a close future for us, it does not look very good. People are fighting there, whatever they are fighting. I do think what's remaining in Tunisia that is good is that the people will do things without having actually any support. And that's really, I will say, every time I see a good paper coming from there, and I can tell you there are good papers coming from Tunisia, I'm always amazed how these people can work. Because even collegiality, it does not exist in Tunisia. People fight all the time for something that they can do together. I witnessed this twice, because I was visiting a professor in Tunisia for 1 month, where I spent my time just going from, as Nizar said, I spent one in Tunis, from Rabta to Sharm trying to get 2 professors to agree together, to work together. I'm telling them, guys, I came from San Francisco. I wanted to help you, but if you don't help each other, I can't help you. So there is a lot of jealousy, etc. And instead of doing the work and sharing tasks, they are talking about who is going actually to be first on the paper and last on the paper. Why the paper is not written? The data is not even acquired. So they don't care who's going to just take the data, but we fight about who's going to be first and last other. It doesn't work that way. It does not work that way. And so I do think that those are the problems, unfortunately, in Tunisia. But I'm always hopeful that we have actually really great minds in Tunisia, and it's true because you look at everybody here present. But unfortunately, there is something which is inherent into us at this point, which is we want to just actually meaning we start actually talking about the outcome before even we build anything, which is just unfortunate. So yes, there is still hope, but I'm hoping that this is going to change very quickly, and pray for that. That's it.
I think, Ali, you said it very well. I think it's really, there's a lot of opportunities for Tunis. There's definitely the genetic diversity. There's a lot of potential, like knowledge-wise, but also patient population-wise. There are a lot of challenges. Like, first of all, it's hard to collaborate when it comes to listening. The first question, like people do, like I will talk about an example. I know a company that was, and like many Tunisians, like everyone on the call here who is speaking, and many of us are trying to give back and help make things better, especially now the economy is really struggling. First thing that you fall into when you try to help, are you going to pay this? Are there travels? Are there speaking opportunities going to be paid for? And then first thing there was a guy who was trying to build a hospital in Tunisia, and then he ended up, and despite being somehow, despite being Tunisian too, he ended up being tired of the bureaucracy and ended up building it in Morocco. A team recently in Japan who's trying to implement AI for radiology X-rays. And it's really not going super fast, or let's say to be very positive. It's we still don't have the infrastructure for sharing data. People still think that putting data on the cloud is a sin. I know that even outside of Tunisia, we have that block too, but I wonder what can we do so we overcome the very old school healthcare regulation that's really preventing us from making progress in Tunisia. Any thoughts on that?
Yes, I'll have to add actually two things very quickly. There is a Tunisian, I don't want to just say the name, but maybe some of you knows, guys. He came to Harvard, he gave $25 million to Harvard, a Tunisian guy. From A to Z, born in Tunisia, Tunisian guy, simple guy, understood that there is nothing to do in Tunisia. He cannot actually do anything because it's all fight. He said, okay, I'm gonna give this as a kind of endowment, 25 million that will bring Tunisia to America. So Harvard will choose those guys. Harvard will say, Lubna Qarwi is high level, I want her. All right, as soon as they understand that Lubna has the green passport, Tunisian passport, they just invite her and said, everything is paid. All right, so this guy really smart. I mean, I know the associate dean of GMS, so he's the one, his name is Ajay Singh, and he told me about the story. And then I verified the story, and it's true, right? It's a true story. So this is where we are. I'm personally, I really don't want to talk about this, but because you told me this, I visited my faculty de medicine. It's a disaster, isn't it? Facts. I went to the dean and I told him, I am ready to give you actually the money. You just tell me how much it's going to cost. I want to just paint the university, paint it. I want to actually change everything which is broken. And I want to put something for these kids to so they can sit and have a book and read in the library. They can read good books. I'll bring you the books. Tell me how much. There are 3 right now. We changed 3 times and still I didn't hear, because it's not of their interest. It's just don't. It doesn't work for them. It's very unfortunate. And these guys are actually my age. I mean, we were together in the same actually classes. All right. That's what I'm going to tell you. I mean, I do think there is actually a lack of engagement, a lack of thinking about a general where we're going to leave. We are all talking about mentorship, and we are all talking about how proud we are when we give it to someone else. But there is not such a thing in Tunisia. I mean, I'm not saying. Let's be honest. I'm not saying this is 100%. I'm always amazed to find big minds in Tunisia that are outstanding. But those guys, they become completely outliers in society. Nobody even understands. Because the reality is, so let's face it, I came from Tunisia 5 days ago. When I said one thing, the country is, c'est une poubelle publique. And what you see Mercedes, you see, Catrel, and you see whatever. So people from everywhere, from every actually, layer of the society, they trash, all of them. And so there is actually an American guy who went to Tunisia. All right. Again, he said, I don't understand this country. Every single house I visited is clean, like beautifully clean. And you go outside, everything is just dirty. What these guys are about. So you understand, we need actually probably to take a deep breath and talk about, what we are doing. And this is at all levels. I mean, medicine is not our medicine or research.
Yeah. So Nizar, you want to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think we know all these problems, honestly, we are telling us all this problem. We are aware of this problem. And I think whatever we can do, even baby steps, here we call baby steps. We try to work with the people who are the outlier. Maybe that even we change a bit, just a bit at a time. If we can find anyone who we can work with, I think, we know, I mean, we can go on like forever, about the issue and so on. We know that those are problems, but I think we need to, yes, put them on the table and, be great if we can find someone who are willing, to work even like on a small level, whatever we can do small, even small, I think would be great. I want to go back to the AI, just to switch a bit the mood. And, and everyone, yes, AI is not the future, of course. It's, if you put garbage in, garbage out, there is a, and the main problem that we are having, across science or across anything that we, across healthcare, if no one will replicate whatever you are doing, and if you publish any new finding, no one comes back and replicate it, you're going to lose completely, your, but the same would apply to AI. You can do whatever you want, but if nobody is able to replicate it, of course, means what you are doing is completely wrong. That's a fact. One last thing, and I'm going to be quick. I think, to answer the question, what we are going to be in 10 to 15 years, I think in terms of genetics, so far, in the US, I can say, there is newborn screening. We look for several diseases from a blood spot, basically, and then we look at certain number of diseases. I think in the future, with the cost going from initially when I started doing whole exome sequencing, $10,000, $20,000 to $1,000, and now the cost of doing whole genome sequencing is going to be $200. I think in 10 to 50 years, the cost of sequencing will be $1, and we will do whole genome sequencing to every newborn, basically. That's the hope where we are going to be. And that, again, the challenge is, what do we do with that data? That's why we need to have more of these data analysts, basically. That's, we are going to generate so much data that we don't know where we're going to do with it and how much their meaning and understanding and so on. So that's my 2 cents. And I'm going to stop there. I know we only have 3 minutes.
Yeah. You are mute, Ali.
I saw what Nizar is saying. It's really the big challenge right now with AI. It's what we call validation, because people are just publishing. And Nizar, I know that you're not actually in the academic work world, but still probably you know about this. Most of the people publish to advance in the academic field, which is okay. But if it's not validated, it's not going to have any value. That's the whole thing.
Of course.
When you said validated, Ali, means applicable?
Yeah, I mean,
No, validated.
So, for example, in medicine, if you say, all right, I have actually this kind of software right now that can find out on a CT scan that the nodule in the lung is a cancer, all right? You can take this on, you know, you can do it as a test validation, and you can get it actually on your data. But then if I bring it to Nizar and I tell him, please put the software on your CT and try actually to find out. And of course, the ground truth there is histology when you see the cancer. And he tells me, Ali, I mean, the software didn't see two of them and also saw two, and they are not cancer. Then it's over. How are you going to use that? Okay. So that's the validation. You have to validate. That's what it is.
That's what I meant. Thank you, Ali. That's what I meant by replication, is validation of whatever you found. Otherwise, like you said it perfectly, Ali, a lot of publication out there, they just publish, and of course no one comes back and validate those findings, and then that's it, you know, then it doesn't mean anything by the end.
Yeah,
now you put AI in any title and it's a hype moment.
Exactly.
And we need to dive on it in order to see what's useful and what's not. Actually, I spent my days talking about that and working on that. Actually, a few minutes before, I was with a big automotive company talking about, you talk about garbage in, garbage out. We were talking about data quality and how we can figure out this mess coming from everywhere before even starting doing the right use cases for the business, right? And it was actually, I'm sure it will take months and months until we find a solution, because it's quite complex. And I was saying at that time in that meeting, that it's not a sexy topic, data quality, guys. When it comes to AI, everyone wants to work on it, but data quality, no one want to work on it, right? So it's quite complex, and validation also, it's another aspect. That's why I was talking, are you talking about the fact that it's adopted or not? Because we work a lot on solution, and they're not adopted at the end by the end users, and so on. So this is another aspect of this technology where we are hyping too much, but people will not use it.
Lubna, I agree. Lubna, Litar, and Ali, I 100% agree. If it's too hyped, and if the data, the input is not really good, or there's no diversity in the data, then it's hard to make conclusions. There's always, I think AI, I think Ali said it very well, AI will augment our knowledge and will, معناها عبارة قلت واحد يستعمل في كالكولاتريس فما ولا في مات مونتال فما باش تقول انت 5280 multiplié par 3090 en 3 secondes تخرجها بالكالكولاتريس. On a cette technologie pour rendre notre travail plus facile avec l'intelligence artificielle, je crois. فما برشا حاجات قاعدة تصير توا معناها surtout في الدومين تاع الريتيل ولا finance ولا fraud detection that can be very much leveraged to healthcare and life sciences. And again, we cannot ignore the domain expertise. We can't just replace a doctor to make conclusions about cancer or to make conclusions about the connection between this protein that if anyone, even on the, it's like screening, doctor screening, come to the doctor and they say, oh, this patient is 40 years old, never had, is not obese, never had what is that, blood pressure issues, no issues at all. So on the surface, this patient had COVID, should go back home, but come back if you have any problems. But if you know that patient right at the beginning had a protein, even if they are super healthy and young, and we know because we have some special screening that was augmented by the power of AI, you'll save that patient's life and save spending days and weeks at the ICU just because we use the equivalent of a calculator for healthcare. I think the technology is there, and I would love to have a bigger discussion about the topic. I know we don't have the time for that.
You know what, Iman, there is a very, very nice quote by actually a radiologist, a famous radiologist who's old enough, who wrote this. He said, artificial intelligence will not replace radiologists, but artificial radiologists and a radiologist will replace a radiologist alone. Isn't it very nice? So it's exactly what you're saying, Iman. By ourselves, we will be replaced probably by a machine and a radiologist because they will be stronger, they will be better. All right, that machine will augment actually the intelligence of one radiologist. So yes,
you know, Ali, I read the same things, but in another context. It was someone from Stanford saying that one of the leader of Stanford saying that about lawyer. It's a lawyer with AI will replace a lawyer that would not use AI, but it's not AI that will replace a lawyer. This is the point. So it's quite similar, right?
Exactly.
Actually, AI, you know, it's a brilliant and amazing topic, and in the family of exponential technology, we can speak hours and hours. If you are curious, I have a podcast on that with a lot of experts around the world where we talk about AI, data, and technology. So you can have like a lot of perceptions from different peoples working on that, from NVIDIA, from Google, from Amazon, and so on. So we talk a lot about that and work on that. So it's a pleasure today to have all of you. I will just let Semi, if you want, conclude this webinar, and we finish with the positive notes, guys. We know that working on research as you are doing for a long journey is being optimistic, firstly, right? And ambitious and optimistic, resilience, good words, and a lot of thriving to do that. I will let Semi conclude, and also if you want to finish by some words, it will be great.
Voilà, je veux dire باش نتكلم بالعربي بالتونسي. دونك انا جو سوي تري اونوري فرحان برشا باش شفت سي علي القرمازي وسي نزار سماوي ومدام هيلا tous ensemble dans un webinaire. Donc cette aventure, on l'a commencé au mois de juin. On a invité beaucoup de monde. D'ailleurs, on a invité c'est Mohamed Jarey, donc il nous a parlé un peu. Ah? Oui.
C'est mon adepte. Yeah.
Oui, oui. Et d'ailleurs, je l'ai croisé quelques mois plus tard à Tunis, donc dans un hôtel, donc avec sa mère. J'étais super content, ravi de le voir. Donc le monde est petit. Donc je suis très content, et d'ailleurs l'échange était vraiment très très intéressant. Donc c'est bien de voir un peu cette communauté tunisienne parler sciences et technologies, parler avenir, parler futur. Et j'adhère totalement à ce qu'il a dit Sinizar Smewi. On essaie toujours de chercher les personnes positives avec qui on peut faire des petits steps, des petits quick wins, de changer des choses petit à petit, et surtout travailler avec les jeunes. Les jeunes d'aujourd'hui, ils sont ouverts, ils regardent ce qui se passe dans le monde, et ils ont envie de décliner tout ça dans leur pays qu'ils aiment, la Tunisie. Et donc, on a besoin un peu de Tunisiens de se réunir, de parler technologie, de parler sciences, de parler avenir, d'échanger. Et ça, c'est vraiment très, très intéressant. Et donc, cette aventure, on a commencé avec l'Amérique du Nord. On a croisé beaucoup de Tunisiens de très haut niveau, de très grands talents. Et d'ailleurs, c'est notre, je dirais, première rencontre avec le monde de la médecine et des sciences de la santé, de la biologie, etc. On est très contents. J'ai invité tout le monde en Tunisie. Hein. J'ai créé même la fac de médecine de Sfax, j'ai créé la fac de médecine de Moustir, de Sousse, de Tunis. J'ai échangé avec le vice-doyen, l'Institut Pasteur. Donc, j'ai demandé qu'on partage ça à tous nos étudiants, nos jeunes, je dirais, biologistes, médecins, pharmaciens, etc. Donc, j'ai fait tout cet effort pour, je dirais, réunir les Tunisiens de là où ils sont aujourd'hui. Le lieu de résidence n'a aucune importance. L'idée, c'est toujours de se réunir autour de la Tunisie, aimer la Tunisie, surtout aujourd'hui, faire le maximum pour, je dirais, sauver notre pays. Donc, c'est la mère de toutes les mères, c'est la Tunisie. Il faut un peu faire ce qu'on pourrait, je dirais, malgré voilà, le contexte aujourd'hui désastreux. On essaie un peu de sauver notre pays. On n'a un seul pays qui est la Tunisie. Il faut absolument sauver le soldat Tunisie.